Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, go easy on me because I haven't been in this class for like a year.
Where have you been?
Trying to build a team for the last couple of years. So I am removing myself from that scenario and going back into solo production with my team, but I'm going to focus on myself, let my husband run the team.
Okay. And what made you make that? What led you to that decision?
Because I prefer working with buyers and sellers than team agents who don't perform.
You mean children that aren't related to you that don't do what you ask?
Exactly. You got it.
All right. I
Yep.
get it. We
So
should have
let's,
a call one time. We'll get out a box of Kleenex and we'll talk.
okay, sounds good. Yeah. I'm here in Tucson.
How do you like what office are you with?
KWSA 495.
Is that
So that's Jake Kingdom is the team leader. Yeah.
Kristen? That's my
Yeah,
wife.
of course. Yeah.
How do you like your new office?
I just moved in like 2 weeks ago and I love it. Very happy.
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, we have 4 offices in there and mine's all pretty now and it's set up with it the way I need it to be. We've been in limbo for 3 years in our own office spaces, subleasing from a lender, and we never really settled in. So now we're settling in and it feels good. So I'm ready to get revamped. So
Well, welcome you guys. It's not quite 1 o'clock yet. If you happen to look at your name and see that it's Sherry, I don't know why it defaults to that. You can go up there and click on your name and change it and add and make it your real name, so I don't keep calling everyone Sherry. Then everybody answers. Orlando from Orlando's on. I know that looks like it's a typo. His middle name is really from. His mom named him. He's got the first and the same last name, Orlando, from Orlando.
love it.
Kind of like my other brother Daryl. Who remembers that? No.
I missed it.
Orlando, I might ask you, because you're one of our regulars. Let's see here. Make you co-host. You can no. Michael or is that Michael? Is that your name, real Michael? Orlando from Orlando.
Say that again.
What's your real name?
Orlando.
Okay. All right, hang on. So I don't know if they're going to co-host. So basically when you're co-host now, so when you click on participants, you're going to have people that are in the waiting room. If you could just admit them.
Yep.
Okay, that'd be great. So I won't be distracted by doing that. Let's see what time I got. I got 101. It's time to go. You guys, welcome to Mastery Role Play with Denny Grimes. And I'm glad you're here. This recording will be posted. Will be posted on the YouTube channel. Today happens to be August 18th, 2023. And we're going to have a little fun today because it's Friday. It's always Friday on these. And we're going to be practicing, if you're new on the call or haven't been here in a year, Michelle, we're going to be practicing question-based, listening enhanced conversations. As many of you guys know, I do a daily role play with Keller Williams. Anybody's invited to it, called Recon. Always have a thought of the day or something special about the day. And today is National Serendipity Day. I had no earthly idea what serendipity really meant. I've heard the name before. And I looked it up. And that's when something good happens, kind of like happenstance by luck. And I shared this morning is that's one of the benefits is you get your skills honed at asking great questions. to buyers and sellers. They're going to share some things with you that are going to be little nuggets that we can use to help them move forward. How about our skills of asking questions to other agents? Maybe there's a listing agent, you have an offer. Have you ever had a conversation with a listing agent and asked them a question, kind of fishing a little bit, wanting to get some information, and before you know it, they start spelling all kinds of information that makes it more advantageous for you to get an offer accepted? So there is a lot of found benefits when you ask great questions and you listen. So we're going to be working on that today. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go to Denny Grimes, Master of Real Estate. There's another Denny Grimes out there who's a pastor / singer. That's not me. I'm the guy in real estate. So let's go. Recon, that's the recon. If you haven't joined a recon, that is the daily role play. You're welcome to do it. Join that. And a lot of folks are on here today that are on recon. So that's awesome. And as you know, the procedure to play, I'm going to give away a free 30-minute coaching call for those people who participate. We'll do a random drawing. So go ahead and raise your hand up. Me and Orlando will be kind of watching over the screen, and we'll do our best to get you involved. We'll help you. Hey, Arne, nice to see you. We'll help you. It won't be too tough. However, we're going to make sure you grow. I have a thought of the day. I want to share this. I did share it this morning. So Orlando, if you were on my recon today, you've got about 35 seconds to go and play a little Candy Crush, kind of punch out, unless you need to hear this thought again. It was said at Mega Camp from Keller Williams. Gary Keller himself said it. I thought it was one of those V8 moments. And he talked about the 80-20 rule. We all know what the 80-20 rule is, that 80% of our income is going to come from the right 20% of our activities. If you look at your closet, 20% of your clothes you wear 80% of the time, right? So what Gary said was, and how it ties to what we're talking about today in our conversations. In fact, I'll ask Orlando and ask him if he paid attention. He was on there today. Remember what the 80% was?
80% on motivation.
Right. When we're having conversations with clients, 80% of our conversation should be based around motivation and 20% based on what, Orlando?
Criteria.
There you go. Whenever we default, and this happens many times, I know I've been doing this for 3 years. When you start asking them about how many bedrooms, do they want a pool? Do they want to be on a cul-de-sac? Do they want to be able to have a big backyard so they can raise alpaca? That's criteria. Every agent does that. However, when we can get the motivation, we're going to experience some serendipity. I never used that in a sentence before. Don't ask me to spell it. So, does that make sense? And we're going to practice that. So in our role plays, when we hear you going through criteria, I may just say criteria, which means get back on the track of motivation. So here we go. Role play number 1. And I'm going to throw it up there. Do we have any volunteers to handle this from a seller's perspective? It's going to be face-to-face. I want to sell my house when the values go up. Who wants to handle that? I don't see any hands, Orlando. What's wrong with my class? Why can't I make people raise their hands?
I don't know why.
Brian's laughing at me, so that must mean he's raising his hand.
Brian's raising his hand.
I was laughing with you, Denny, not at you, sir. Just to be clear.
So would you
okay.
like to handle this, or would you like to be the seller with that type of mindset? And I'll let Orlando handle it.
I should probably be the agent. It's, it would probably work better for me. Let me try that.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put up here the timer should pop up here. Here's the model. Acknowledge, isolate, answer, close. And Orlando, you are the seller. I want to wait to sell and wait for the values to go up. And you're at the table face to face. Go.
So Orlando, tell me again what your hesitation is about putting your property on the market today.
We just want to wait until values go up. We just want to get the most for our home.
Okay, no, I understand that. Aside from waiting for the market to go up, is there anything else preventing you from putting your property on the market today?
No, I just remember a couple of years ago, I should have sold when the market was hot. Now I'm just waiting for that same time.
Okay. How long ago was that when you thought you should have sold?
About 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay. Okay. And then you Why didn't you sell when you thought the market was high? What happened there?
We just weren't ready, but we figured that it was going to come back at some point. So we're just
Yeah.
going to wait for that point to come, and then as soon as it comes, we're ready to sell.
Okay. Orlando, what is it that's got you wanting to sell your property anyway? What do you need to accomplish?
You know, our kids are older now, and it's just going to be my wife and I. So we're going to be downsizing as well too.
Okay. Okay, so what do you, how long do you have to wait before the need to downsize? What is it that's,
Okay, hey, hang on.
hang on,
Hang on.
I'm slipping and falling, Denny.
No. You're
Lost
doing
my
really
train.
good. You're following the model. Let's just stop and let's have a little huddle, okay? Timeout. We're allowed several timeouts. Where are you trying to go?
What I wanted to do is go in the direction of how long are you willing to wait before the downsize? Because if the prices don't go up for another 5 to 7 years, is that okay? Is that tolerable?
Okay, so I have found it better. Anyone can pipe in here. This is that game show phone a friend. We're all his friends. Let's help him get back on track. He's got a minute 30 to go. So one of the questions that come to my mind is, ideally, when would you like this to happen? Find out. I would get into curiosity, get clarity a little bit. You asked some great questions. You did isolate. How long ago were you thinking about it? Why didn't you? And you started asking motivation questions, downsizing. Okay. And so you haven't really there. You could get more clarity there. So, and I think that's what you're doing. So anybody else have another suggestion for a great question?
I guess my first thought is how, if anybody knew exactly when the market was going to be at the top of the market, we'd all be millionaires. So I don't understand that that thought process, and I'd love to hear how that would be worked around or brought into it.
Okay.
We can't predict the market. We don't know. I mean, if I had known that the market was going to turn in 2006, the very next day, I would have done things differently. So do we wait until it's already turning before we make that move, or do we go based on what we know now, which is the facts that it's a good market?
Then what would be the question?
That's a good question.
If you were able to get what you wanted for your house right now, would you be ready to make that move in the near future?
Is that Rob?
Mark.
Oh, Mark. Okay. You're coming up as our name. So
Oh, she sent me the link, sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. So ask the question again.
Orlando, if you were able to sell for the price that you believe you could get in a better market, would you be ready to move right now?
Yeah, I think I would.
All right, so I'm going to just stop. We haven't started the role play yet. We're brainstorming here. I want you to learn how to think it through. What did you learn, Mark?
That he would be ready if he could get his price that he's looking for, be it in this market or a better market. He's got a certain price that he wants.
So it's not a better market he's looking for, it's a better price, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little synonymous. Okay, that's a little clarity. Anybody else have scratching their head? Can anyone really articulate what his challenge is? Or what is his problem? Somebody restate his objection. I know what he said. What does he mean by it?
When's he going to make that decision when the market's good?
Okay. All right. Ask that question.
Orlando, when do you think that the market is going to be good? What is you going to determine? What's going to determine that in your mind?
Am I role playing, Denny? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Once I start seeing it on the news, and then my neighbors are getting their offers, and that's when I know it's going to be a good time.
It's Michael, and Michael's coming up. I'm assuming that's your name, right?
Yep.
All right. That was a great question. Like, if people want to wait for something to happen, some measurement, I mean, he didn't even give us a measurement. He just compared it to 2 years ago. How will you know when that happens? All right, so Brian, do you have enough? You don't have to ask one of the questions already asked. Do you have enough? You got a minute and a half to go. Can you get back on track?
Let's give it a whirl, see if I can, because I didn't narrow it down. I was staying too broad. So Orlando, if you could get the price you wanted for your home now, would you be willing to sell your home now, put it on the market?
Yeah, if it kind of mirrored what was happening a couple of years ago, for sure.
Okay. Because as you know, if we could guess what the markets would do.
You don't need that. You don't need that
Okay.
statement. I don't need it.
Because I stopped asking a question, I started making a statement, right?
Yeah, you just keep on the question. Yeah, if I could predict, I'd be buy lottery tickets for a living. And no one has a crystal ball. It's wasted words.
Okay. Okay, Orlando, knowing that, would you want to set up a time where I could come over? We could go over what the value of
Hang
that.
on, hang on. No, no. You're
I'm
already
getting
face
up
to
today.
face. You're already face to face.
Oh, that's right. I was, for some reason, I'm thinking we're doing phone call again. Okay. So Orlando, how about we do a valuation on your home and let's see where the price is and we'll go from there. Maybe we can get it listed. What do you say?
What do you mean evaluation on my home?
Let's see where the value is compared to the market. Maybe where the market is right now, we can still get you the price you need for your downsize.
Okay.
Would
Would you
like
be
to-
able to look at it where it was priced at a couple of years ago on the average and then make a comparison from that?
We're going to go with what the market is telling us today because the buyers today are going to tell us where the pricing is.
Now, is that is that addressing his concern?
Probably not.
No, thanks for playing though. Now, this is really important. Whose concern is that addressing, you guys?
Well, I have to address Orlando's concern with the price. But if he wants me to look back 2 years, I need to let him know well, that's not going to help us today. Or
Well,
am I off on that?
let me ask you this question, Brian. Anyone can answer. What is Brian looking for? You can't answer, Brian. What is Brian looking for? What does he want?
A listing,
Yes. And what does Orlando want?
the most amount of money you can get for his house.
He wants prices 2 years ago. And what's the probability that those numbers match? Not good.
Probably.
Not good. Because you wouldn't be having this conversation. So what I want you to do as we learn and get better, forget about what your goal is, focus on their goal. And let me show you here. Whoops, where is it here? You don't really know a lot about their motivation. So now I'm not going to start the timer. I want us now to drill down to understand motivation and get into pain. Because when we use, and I said this morning, I think, it's a very common thing. If I can show you, would you? Now, that only works if you've got your finger on a pain point. If I could make the pain go away, would you want to know how to do it? If you're putting your hand or finger on a part of the body that is not painful, would you, if I could show you how I could stop that, would you want to know? I don't really care because it doesn't hurt. What are you hearing?
And I was having a hard time getting to how much motivation is there just for the downsize. And I don't know how to find that much of a pain point to move farther.
Well,
You know,
all right.
how do you dig onto that?
Well, I think we all have to get a little bit better at seeing the pain points. So let's talk about potential pain points for a seller not wanting to sell because he wants the market to go up. Anyone can play. You get one question. What would it be?
Hey, Orlando, how would it affect you and your family if you wait a year and the prices continue to go down or actually don't even come up?
Okay, hang on. Don't have to do that. Don't answer. Not role play yet. That's a great question mark. Give me another one. Oh, by the way, that's called, and we never want to argue with their theory. We want to ask them, okay, what if you're wrong? Mark's question is, what if that doesn't happen? Give me another one.
What's important to you about downsizing?
Okay, now we're going to get into motivation. So hang on to that. We're going to go. All
Okay.
right. But then let's stay with there. Let's stay there. I want us to drill down on motivation a little bit. So ask the question, we'll go back in. You get one question and one follow-up. Let's have a couple of people play on this. Okay, ask the question again, Michelle.
What's important to you about downsizing? Orlando.
Yeah, we're role playing now, Orlando.
Yeah, like I said, it's mostly just me and my wife, and then occasionally the kids when they come in for the holidays, but it's just gonna be me and my wife.
So by downsizing, how would that change your life with your wife right now? How would that benefit you?
Yeah, it will just be her and I, and we don't need this 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. We just need something smaller.
Now let me pause this just for a second. Has he gotten into the real motivation yet?
No, absolutely not.
Do you recognize the fact he's not got to the emotion yet?
Yes.
So
I tend to want to jump in and say, is it because you have to clean 5 bedrooms and 3 baths and it takes all your wife's time and she doesn't spend any time with you and you guys can't go anywhere because it's too much to handle? I want to jump in and ask him if that's it, but I need to draw it out of him.
exactly. So what I want you guys to recognize in this I don't want to do a bunch of short role plays. I want to make sure that I'm dissecting these and teaching you what to look for. Orlando has not gotten to the core yet. And unless you get to the core, just because he wants to downsize, that's not a pain point. That's like saying, well, yeah, I got a pain in my leg. Well, that could be a lot of what leg, where. All right. So who wants to now ask a clarifying question? Let's drill down a little bit to understand the emotion behind that. And you're right, Michelle. I know we have a tendency to step in and say, is it this, is it that, is it that? However, we have to get there by asking questions. Who's got a question?
I do. So can we ask, though, Orlando, how is it going to make your wife feel if we don't get you downsized in the near future?
Yeah, she's kind of tired of cleaning up all these houses. So there's less rooms being occupied. So it's one less thing she's got to worry about.
So if we can show you the number that makes sense to you, would you be willing to move forward on putting your house on the market and downsizing into a new home, especially to make your wife happy?
Yeah, but more importantly, we don't want to have a payment.
Okay, so are you wanting to pay cash for your house now?
Yeah, we would like to be out of this house and then have no mortgage when we get into the other house.
That's awesome. All right, well then let's get together so I can show you what we can do. I don't know. I'm driving, Denny, so I'm sorry. I got to pop out of here.
That's okay. That's okay. You are already together. So if you're having a couple, let's say now Sandra's made me think of this, and obviously I hope they're both together. You would turn. What would it be a bad question? Say, Orlando, are you both equally motivated to get to this to downsize?
Yes, we're both motivated.
Equally?
No, more her than me.
Now, how many people ever thought when you're having a conversation with a couple did that feel awkward to you to ask that? Can we assume that they're both equally on board for wanting to do it? And sometimes by understanding maybe one person's dragging that anchor more and one person's going for it, it might start to shed some light on this. So, all right, let's talk about it. And just one more thing. Let's talk about the pain. Mark brought up a pain point. What else? What other pain is there? There's a very obvious one. When you've got a seller wanting to sell. Now, when you downsize, Orlando, will you be buying?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been looking anywhere yet?
No, because we've been waiting for the market to appreciate and so we can get the most out of it. So we haven't started looking yet.
Watch this. It's a series of questions. Do you need to sell this home in order to buy your next home?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the question. Well, I'll stop. I've led you to the door. Can you open it? What's the next question?
I could show you a way to sell your house and buy the next one. Would you do it?
Well, okay, so that doesn't help him because it doesn't address the problem yet.
You could mention that when his house appreciates in value, so will the next house that he wants to purchase then will also appreciate in value. So you're buying or selling in the same market.
All right, where is that? What's that TV show, Singer, where you hit the golden button and all the balloons and confetti fall? That's it. So, all right, so Mark, how would you ask that question? Because that's going to make him think. That could be a little pain. How would you ask it, Mark?
I'll phrase a question you mentioned yesterday. Would you agree that if you're waiting for the market to increase, there's a lot of people on the sidelines also waiting for the market to increase to be in the same position you're most probably going to be in or looking to be in?
Well, that doesn't suggest that. Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, if he's waiting for the prices to go up to sell his house, then inevitably he'll be spending more money on his place that he's downsizing to purchase that. So it'll cost him more then by waiting.
Okay, now, all right, he's on the right track, but his question was off a little bit. This is how I'd ask it. Mark, you're exactly on the right track. So let me understand, Orlando. You want to wait to sell for more, so you can buy for more?
Didn't think of that.
That makes
Makes
you
sense.
think.
Yeah.
The classic analogy I always go back to, you guys, is this. They have a picture in their mind. Their picture is, I want to wait till the prices go up. We have to help them see the picture they're not seeing, that we somehow take their motivation and weave it into a painful quilt. So when you think about it practically, does it make any sense for someone to say, okay, you're going to pay more. So let's just say it's a push. You sell higher, buy higher, yet you gave up 2 years of your life and the extra maintenance and the wear and tear on your knees as you're scrubbing the floor with a toothbrush. Does it make any light bulbs going off, you guys?
And then typically also the cost of maintaining and keeping up and a mortgage on a more expensive home is going to be more money wasted over the 2 years if he were to wait versus the savings.
There you go. So why not have your cake and eat it too? So fair enough. Nice job. Nice job. Let's do it again. I've got another one here for you. This won't surprise you guys. Let's go. Right here. That's the one we just did. I'll sell. Yeah, sorry about the English. I'll sell when the values go up. This is the one we were working on today. I will buy when the interest rates go down. Michelle, you're up. And Mark,
Okay.
you're going to be the buyer.
Okay.
I
I
will
will
buy
buy when the interest rates go down.
down. Okay.
Let's go back to the model here. I know it's been a year. Here it
Okay.
goes.
Yep, it's been a long time. So
Acknowledge.
Acknowledge. So I understand what you're saying is well, I would probably say that's great. So what you're saying is you're waiting to sell, or you're waiting to buy. What are we doing? Waiting to buy when interest rates go down. I want to say, do you know what happens when interest rates go down?
You can't tell. Isolate's number 2, Michelle.
Okay, isolate.
What's the 3 words, guys? You're muted, Brian. Other than that.
Other than that, that's right. I remember that. Other than that, is there anything else that would keep you from buying a home today?
Not really. I just believe there's too much uncertainty, especially with elections next year. And, the rates are just really high right now. But yes, that's what's holding me back.
That's what's holding you back. Okay. So then the next one is answer. So is that where I propose then to say,
the next one's actually clarify.
Oh, clarify. So I'm so bad at this.
Okay.
Right now.
No. Stop that. I'm going to stop.
Okay.
So phone a friend who can give her a nudge. What's the first question we always ask when working with a buyer?
What has you thinking about moving?
Not yet.
Do you own or rent?
There you go. Write that down. Put that on your license plate. Get a tattoo across your forearm.
Okay, are you,
All right, go
so are
ahead.
you currently renting or do you own your home?
Did I lose him? Where'd he
I
go?
don't know.
Mark, are you there? I'll take over. I'm renting.
Okay, so that was clarifying. You rent. And is this now for the reason why you're planning to move? What is it that's prompting you to move?
Now you could go to motivation, sure.
What would you have suggested?
No, you're fine.
Okay, so what's got you thinking about moving from the rental that you're in now?
Well, we're tired of having our rent keep going up and it's a mess. It's an apartment complex. We want our home with a garage. Yeah, so we want our own home.
Okay. Again, I want to go right to now. If you're waiting for interest rates to go down, is it fair to bring to your attention that paying rent is like paying 100% interest rate compared to what today's rates are of 7%, 6.5%?
All right, so that came up today.
Okay.
And to me, I understand it. I'm not a big fan of that because I don't think most people understand that. I don't think that's emotional. That's like your mom yelling at you, get your room cleaned up. I don't think it moves you. You're telling them something, but it's not going to change them. So I would use another approach. Now, some people may
Okay.
get it. I would use another approach.
Okay. So another approach would be, without knowing the proper lead in, I want to get to the point of, wouldn't you prefer to build equity in your own home than paying somebody else's mortgage and building their equity in their home?
Well, sure, but I don't want to pay 7%. I know you're back, Mark. Are you back? You got cut out. Yeah, just I'll finish it because you missed a little bit. So I'll
Sorry
finish
about
it.
that.
I don't want to pay 7%.
Okay, so another thing to point out would be that when rates come down, is it fair to say that
You're not
the
allowed to
prices
point
will go up?
You're not
Not
allowed
at
to
that point yet.
You have to ask questions.
Ah. Okay, I'm lost.
Hang on. All right, you got a question. Who's Mindy? What's the question? Unmute yourself.
Ask question.
You're muted. Muted. We can't hear you. Can you hear? I don't hear. All right. Your mic's not on. So remember, when we deal, fix your mic and come on, Mindy. When you're talking about rate, you have to get it to dollars. So Michelle, let me help you out. I'm going back to Mark. So just go say you want to wait for rates to come down, correct?
Yes.
Come down to what?
Good question. When we initially started looking, our affordability was a lot more. So, at least a point or two.
Okay. Now notice what he said there. This is the listening part. When we initially started looking, doesn't that want to make you ask a question? When did you initially start looking?
It was most probably about 5-6 months ago when the rates were more around the 4-5%.
Okay. Now
I could be off on my numbers, but
like the 8 ball, a question should be floating. You don't have to worry about the questions because his answer will naturally prompt questions. Well, what kept you from acting then?
We were perhaps being greedy and we kept thinking the house pricing would be coming down. And we noticed when it started coming down, the rates started going up.
Now, can you see how he's baiting his own trap? So let me ask you, if you ever see Back to the Future?
Yeah.
So if you have the DeLorean and you go back to the future and have that go back 5 or 6 months ago, would you do anything differently?
Absolutely.
What would you do?
I would have made sure to purchase when the rates were decent and my payment would be lower.
There's another question. You guys, you don't have to think of this in advance. He is basically
Giving you everything.
the question. What's the next question? Do you have any concern that this may happen again, that rates may continue to go up and you're in the same movie?
Good question. I wouldn't want to be trapped in that, so.
Well, how would you like your cake and eat it too?
Oh, okay, you're the agent. I mean, if you could show me how I could do that, and it made sense, we could certainly discuss it.
Well, the house you're looking at, basically, and I'm making up some numbers. You're paying $2,500 in rent. The house you're looking at in the area you want to go, assuming we know that, it's going to be not $2,500. It's going to be $3,500 a month with everything included. So let me ask you: can you afford that?
It's really stretching my budget.
And so now when he says stretching his budget, guess what, guys? Is having the whatever reason, I can't remember now, the reason you wanted to own in the first place, to have the barbecue in the backyard. Or you could say, okay, let me ask you, how much is it stretching it?
When we were looking, when the rates were lower, our affordability was probably looking at about 3,100. So this is about $400 more with the increase in rate.
Okay. You guys know where I'm going. I'm reducing it to the what? Ridiculous. Now that we've taken rates into payments, and you know it's stretching them. How much is it stretching them? It's $400 a month. So that's like. So let me ask you: is having the things you want to go into ownership, build equity, have the swing set in the backyard, and make your wife happy worth $13 a day?
Well, yeah, of course.
You're
When you put it like that.
press hard, 4 copies. Now, what are you hearing, guys? No, what did I tell him, Michelle? What did I tell him?
What did you tell him? You told him that,
Nothing.
oh, 0, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
But
he
you-
said it all. He said it all by,
But you made me aware that I could make a small daily sacrifice, $13, give up a drink in the evening or something, versus having all that happiness bring my family much more quality in life. So it made the difference in dollars look insignificant.
Not exactly. I'm not suggesting you give up a drink. Your wife, you give up a drink, right?
But we can all, we spend $13, $20 daily on little things we don't even realize we're spending it on it.
Well, what I said when you can have your cake and eat it too. That's awesome. I'm glad. However, there's one more thing I want you to know. Here's the best news. You'll never have to worry about your rent going up again, ever. You'll never have to worry about your payment going up again, ever. It will only come down. Is it worth $13 a day until that time?
Denny, the other thing also is that, renting is very popular right now. So you see rents going up 10% annually. So next year, stuck in the same lease, you could have having, that additional money you'll be paying monthly in rent, you could actually pay on the mortgage, which would be a wash.
Here you go. All right, it's Friday, free for all. This is late, people's choice. Mindy, you've got your hand up. You got your mic fixed yet? Still no sound. Still no sound. You'll have to go down there and play with the mic button. Somehow it's not syncing. Who's next? Come on. I got a lot of good crowd here today. Who's got something, or we'll do something like this again. Who wants to play?
I'll do an objection.
You have one?
Yeah.
All right.
Objection I come up with sometimes when people have listed the house over a little bit and, 3-4 weeks into it, you need a price reduction. And they are adamant that they do not want a price reduce right now. And they're going to keep it at the market of that. And it's overpriced.
I love it. Who wants it? I want it bad. All right, let's just talk about it before we start it. When you're talking to a seller that is unrealistic. Now, I don't know about you. However, in my 40 years, I have had a lot of unrealistic sellers in Florida. I don't know if you have to deal with them. We have them here. In fact, I think there's a sign as you come across I-75 in Georgia. All unrealistic sellers, please move in here. So let me ask you, quiz question. You know your geography. What is the most crowded state in the nation? Who knows that? Most crowded state in the nation.
Size-wise, maybe New York,
No, it's crowded.
relative of
It's called the state of denial. So, it's okay, I'll be here all day. So let's handle it. When you're handling an unrealistic buyer or seller, this model never changes. You gain clarity, isolate clarity, get motivation, you got to give them the pain. All right, so you are the seller, Mark, and you're the seller that doesn't want to change their, so you evidently have had this, so I want you to channel that person, okay? So how long has your home been on the market?
a month.
1 month, all right, and it's listed at what?
850,000.
Now, let me ask you this, Mark, do you use the 3 outcome sheet?
I am not familiar with that.
Okay, so you're gonna hear it. This, you should not pass go, you should not collect $200, and you don't get a drink tonight until you get this sheet, because this is the most popular, the strongest listing form you have on the planet. So, all right, we're having a conversation. So Mark has been on the market 30 days. Now, I know you didn't go over this when you listed it. From now on, you will. Let me explain to you. I learned something. I'm going to share something with you. There's only 3 things that can happen when you expose the home to the market, which we have. The first one is low to no showings, which means we have to reposition, kind of like the sheet shows. Second ones, we have showings and no offers, and the third one, it sells. So we've been on the market 30 days. How many showings have we had, Mark?
You know, in the first week, there were quite a few people coming through, but I'm guessing we've most probably had about 6 showings, Denny.
6 showings. So first week it's slowed down since the first week.
Yeah, we have noticed that.
Okay, so then would you say, we're obviously not outcome 3, would you say that is low to no showings, or maybe we've had activity and no offers?
I mean, we did have an offer, but it really lowballed us. But I would say the showings are pretty low for, a relatively new house on the market in this day and age.
So it's low to no showings, or showings and no offers, or maybe a low offer. Outcome 1 or outcome 2, your choice.
2.
Okay. You know what that means?
Yeah, I do.
No, I mean, I'm talking to the seller, Mark. Are you a seller?
Yeah, I mean, it most probably means we're not, marketing efficiently. We're not getting the right buyers. We're not getting this in front of the market right now, because, everything is selling.
Everything but yours, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I can demonstrate to you that the marketing's working, and the marketing's working and your house isn't selling, what else could it be?
The way it shows, maybe.
Well, who has control over that?
You're right, Danny. That was most probably, I'm in charge of keeping it looking, make it good when if people do come over and, updates.
That could be. What else could it be? Because what we're finding is it's not that people are looking at your house and not buying it. It's people aren't looking at your house. What do you think the problem could be?
Perhaps the price.
Now, didn't it pain him to say that? Doesn't it pain sellers to admit, wow, it's probably the price, probably not you, it's probably me. Okay, so let's talk about that. What's happening is the market's saying no to where we're positioned. Now, notice how I said that, Mark. I didn't say it was overpriced. I said the market is saying no to us. So let me ask you, if you went to the doctor and you had this rash on your arm, it was very uncomfortable, it was itchy, and it was growing, and the doctor gave you an ointment to put on there and it wasn't working, how long would you take the wrong medicine before you wanted to take the right medicine?
I would change it as soon as I knew it wasn't working.
Okay, and remind us all on role play, Why are you selling? You got to go back here, guys. Why are you selling?
I am selling because the kids have just left the house and I want to get something closer to the beach and just enjoy my later years.
Okay, and when would you like to be there?
As soon as this house sells, we're ready to go.
And have you been looking online at maybe ideal places to move into and houses once your house sells?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of our favorite pastimes, looking at what's out there and what our future holds.
And do you have to sell this to buy that? I should ask that. I'm asking that so you don't forget to ask it.
Fortunately, we do not.
Okay. Then why are we selling first? Well, let me ask you one more question. What do you see in the market do on the houses, the area you want to go closer to the beach? Are the values going up or down?
Since we've been looking over the last 2 months, they seem to be pretty consistent.
Okay. And what do you think is going on in your neck of the woods, in your market? Value from a seller standpoint, are they going up or down?
It seems to be pretty consistent over the last month or two since we've been on the market.
Okay. Now I'm going to stop just for a second. Why would I want to gauge? Why would I ask those two specific questions? And what did I learn? Let's have a conversation. So Mark can't play here. He's under the cone of silence. We've just froze him. So what did we gain so far? Because I'm willing to turn the role play over to somebody else if they want to land the plane here. I can't play alone, you guys. Come on.
What we learned so far is that he doesn't have to sell his current house to buy his house at the beach. And in his mind, we've learned that the prices look consistent along the beach. And the prices look consistent in his mind in his neighborhood. But
Okay, and assuming now, could he be wrong? Yes. Could he be right? However, it's not a battle I want to fight. Now, ideally, wouldn't it have been great for him to say, well, yeah, I've been watching the house on the beach, they're going up. Could that not have created an opportunity to apply pain? While you're sitting at the wrong number, you're watching the houses become more expensive. You see how that's a pain point.
Absolutely.
But it's rather consistent on where he's going, so we can't use that lever. He said it's rather consistent where he is, so he's in a flat market. So from his vantage point, we have a choice: either take that as a given or go head to head with him, which generally you don't really win when you do that. So let's just assume it's a push. There's no upward pressure on price in either market. Where do we go from there?
How motivated is he truly to sell it?
Okay, then what would be a good question, Orlando?
Well, if you're able to get what it is you're looking for and still sell this house, how soon could you move?
Or what if you went down the path of, would you be in the position, even though you don't need to sell, would you move to the beach before you sell this house? Would you want to still have the hassle of having a second house, paying maybe a mortgage on it? What kind of position would it put you in if you were to move to the beach, but you still had the stress of having this house, that hasn't sold?
That could be right, but I don't really see him wanting to do that. If that was the case, he would have already done it. Here's one of the things that those answers, the market's flat. Here's one way you can use that. So if he is at the wrong price now, the market is saying no now. What's going to happen next week, next month, in several months? If there was an upward moving market, can you see that the market might eventually reach his expectation? But it's a flat market. So if you're wrong today, if the medicine's not working today, Mark, it won't be working in a month or 2 or 3, etc. So are you okay staying here indefinitely?
No.
write this down, you guys. This is really true in a lot of different areas of life. They've got to want to sell or buy, if we're talking to a buyer, more than you want them to. They've got to want to do it more than you want to do it. Because if they don't have the motivation, you're wasting words. So, Mark, let me ask you this. You want to go close to the beach? You ever see somebody fishing?
Yeah.
So let's say you see somebody fishing, but they're not fishing in the water. They're sitting in the parking lot. They've got their pole, their hook laying in the parking lot with a worm on it. What would you think about that picture? Now, hang on. Don't give me the answer yet. Would you guys have enough nerve to ask that question? Give me a thumbs up if you would.
To do analogies.
What?
I say I become apprehensive sometimes to use a good analogy like that, because if the person you're speaking to doesn't get it, they are like, what are you talking about? But I think it's a great analogy myself. But
I got that. And if they said, what are you talking about? You can explain it. Now, put your thumb up. I want to see. I'm just curious. And tell me if you think, oh, I would never do that. How many people do it? Give me your thumbs if you would use a statement like that.
I would, for sure.
Because if a seller is wrong and the market's not going to catch him, is that not the same as sitting in a chair in a parking lot with a hook on it? Now, you could say, well, maybe a buyer come along. I could also say, well, maybe a fish will climb out on the beach and find that hook and come and chomp on it. I guess that's possible. You guys see? We have to help them see what they're not seeing. Mark, what would you think if you saw a person fishing, or if in a parking lot with a worm on it?
I figure they're trying to get my attention with something crazy, because that's not working, right?
Watch this. That's us. Michelle, could you say that?
I prefer your prescription analogy or ointment analogy, but yeah, I think I could fit that into a comfort level at some point.
I could give you 18,000 different analogies, but
Absolutely.
Is it not our job to be honest with them with care and candor?
100%. Our job is to help them achieve their real estate goals, and we need to do that the best we can. And sometimes you have to show them.
Then
Shed some light.
If you like my doctor analogy, how would you ask Mark the question? Instead of my fishing one, go back to the doctor analogy. How would you ask that question with that analogy?
Well, I kind of feel like you already did that. Obviously, the ointment's not working, so we need to revisit another solution, another prescription.
Well, sometimes it's better to take them out of it. So imagine, Mark, you go into a doctor's office and your neighbor's going in month after month, and the rash isn't getting better, and he keeps taking the same medicine. What would you advise him to do?
Change their medicine, change your doctor, do something different.
You see how you can make it like what if you saw your neighbor do it? What if one of your kids, I don't know, I mean your kids, what if it wasn't working? Somehow you have to, all right, so
yeah.
Could you use an analogy, Mark, like that? I mean,
that one seems, yes, short and simple, and it's almost, hitting a real pain point because you've got a rash. But could you what if you were to sort of throw the ball into the court of the seller and say, we've got 4 or 5 showings in the first month. What do you think? How many more do you think we'll be getting in the second month? And taking them down that path where they're seeing less and less showings, less and less offers. And ultimately, where will we be in 2 months' time?
Okay, let's see how it works. So, Michelle, you're now the seller. Mark, let's see how you handle it. You have the conversation, come to Jesus meeting with them on price. Michelle is your stubborn seller. Go.
Michelle, I appreciate and totally understand that you want to keep the price exactly where it is. But, we were discussing the showings we've had and the interest we've seen on the house. And I know you're not really happy with the amount of offers you've had being at 1. How many offers do you expect to see and showings over the next month? When we know as the listing gets older, we see less and less inquiries on the house. Where do you think we'll be in a month?
I just feel like the right buyer needs to come along. There are a lot of people from California coming in with a lot of money, and they probably need to see my house and make me the offer I'm waiting for at the current price.
Absolutely, I hear you, and we do have a lot of people coming from California, but wouldn't you agree these people most probably have already been aware of your house or seen your house, and they may have interest, but they may be waiting on the sidelines for the price to come more in line with the market is telling us it's worth, for them to make you that offer that ultimately would be the best that we can get in the market we're looking at right now.
I'm not so sure. Maybe there's more California buyers coming that will like it better than those that have already been exposed to it.
So
That's
let me
certainly-
help you, Mark. Let me help you here, because you got a good analogy going. So let me ask you: so let's say you're shopping for a home on the beach. You've seen it. You've watched this home on the beach. It's been on the market 6 months. Same price. They haven't lowered the price. It hadn't sold, so probably it's got a pricing issue. What could me as an agent or any other agent say to you that would cause you to buy a home that's overpriced, Mark?
If you truly believe this is your dream house and this is something that you really want, would you be prepared to pay a little bit more, but at least get the satisfaction or the what you've really desired if it's within your affordability? Would it be
somehow you switch to an agent? I was asking you that question as a seller.
Oh, okay.
What would cause you to pay more than a house is worth?
If that house would bring me some kind of incredible lifestyle, like my kids live right next door and there'll never be a better location than that. And, even if it is 100,000 over price, it's just something that I have to have. It's like, I don't want to lose that. It's rare, but.
Now, you guys, you got to be prepared for anything. Now, what he's talking about, you're going to write this word down, incorporate it into your vocabulary, just like serendipity. Outlier. Now, if you want to make an example of an outlier, what is a good analogy to use? We're talking about analogies now.
I don't know, but the phrase needle in a haystack comes to mind.
Yeah. Any others? So how would you use that? Well, how would you ask the question, Michelle, with that?
I don't know that I can come up with a question, but I just want to be outright and say, so ultimately what you're telling me is you're looking for a needle in a haystack to come along and buy your home at an overpriced price.
Okay, that's fine. Where's the pain? Where's the pain in that?
The home will never sell. They won't accomplish their motivation, their reason for moving.
Well, you can't convince him they'll never sell because he's looking for what? Quote, a needle in the haystack.
Jenny, if this is your
It'd take
needle
a
in the
long
haystack,
time.
but you don't want to spend this much, how much longer do you think it'll take for us to find another needle in the haystack?
Well, not another one. You haven't found one yet.
Oh, I thought we found the house that's too much that you're prepared to buy.
Well, the issue is this. So what you're looking for is a kind of that one buyer, right? Mark?
Yeah.
We're looking for that one special buyer, right?
Yes, we are. This, with the uniqueness of my house and this price point, it's going to be a very unique buyer.
Sure. It's a unique buyer. That's like you're looking for a 69 Camaro SS, right? I mean, they're not that many of them out there. So then are you prepared to modify the listing? We need to make this a 5-year listing agreement.
That's a long time, Denny.
Well, you're asking me to find a needle in the haystack.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, yeah, there's no way we could wait 5 years.
Then what do you want to do?
I'll be the unrealistic seller. Well, I mean, what if we kept the house on the market a little bit longer at this price, and you know, it's
Okay. How much longer, Mark? Because I only got 4 minutes here on my role play. So how much longer?
okay. Well, you know, it's making sense. So I mean, when you talk about a price reduction, how much are we talking?
Did you say you're at 850 or some crazy number?
I said 850. Yeah,
All right. Well, did we start at 850?
that's what we put it on at. Yes.
So here's what I want you to memorize. Now I'm gonna close with this. We'll wrap up with it. We'll have the drawing for people who played full on, or who participated. You know that I teach don't put your fingerprints on the price. Now, if that would have been your number at 850, you're already in trouble. Now that they are capitulating 850, Mark. Now notice I said the market said no to 850. Now he's asking us what he should lower it to. Who wants to take a quick stab? How would you answer that without putting your fingerprints on it?
Well, I would revert back to our listing presentation when I showed them the comps. So
Okay.
I would say, Mark, do you remember at the beginning when we were talking about listing your home and where we wanted to position the market?
Yeah, and you were recommending 800, which I just thought was, you know, giving my house away.
Got it. And then remember we talked about the 3 outcomes,
Yeah.
right? And then where you had your bait, where we were hoping to be, unfortunately there wasn't any traction, correct?
It appears that way. Yes.
Yeah. So ideally, I would say we want to be closer to that 800.
Now you've put your finger on
Oh no, dang.
Denny, Denny.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
can I try something?
Go.
I would go to motivation, why they want to move. I would go over that pretty hard.
Yeah, but
Then
we've
I
done
go-
that. We're now at the
Okay.
point. We've already done that. Now he's asking, he's capitulating. He wants to lower the price to 850. Now he's asking what to lower it to. What would
So
you
the
say?
question would simply be, how badly do you want it, or what are you willing to pay for happiness for your family? How much is your family worth?
You know, Kevin, that's a good question. You know, we don't want to sit here forever, and you know, we do have these dreams to move on. So
What's the price of happiness for your family? And then know that you got a great deal in 20 years from now. I mean, a fantastic deal in 20 years from now.
I mean, there is, you know, no price you can put on your family and happiness. So
Does that low price mean low? Or does that low price mean high?
There's no price, he said, no price.
Right. So the no price. Well,
So, Kevin,
I would just say, how much is your family and happiness worth?
I got it, but we're at 850. He's asking you, how much does he lower it to? How do you answer the question?
I would answer it whatever you think is best for you. That would get the deal done. I would let him go to the 3. Well, you go to the 3.
I got it. We've done that already, but we're at a point where he's looking for our advice. Really quick, because we're running out of time.
Don't give up. Just go to motivation. Just go straight to motivation.
You're going to have to answer in some way other than motivation. Say, listen, we've learned 2 valuable lessons. The market's saying no to 850. We've eliminated every other price point from there up. And then when we met, we said the market was closer to the 8 number. Based on that, where would you want to reposition to today? Now, have I put my fingerprints on it? No, I just brought up this.
you mentioned the 8 number, but you weren't specific. You didn't say 800. You said we mentioned like around the 8s. So,
well, I was doing what Orlando did. The market was at around 8 when we listed this 30 days ago. So I would recommend where you probably start heading down that way. Then most seller says, well, what do you think about 825? I said, here's the thing that I know. That's a step in the right direction. 1 of 3 things will happen.
Mhm.
The 3 outcomes. Good.
So that's where you were going, Kevin.
Yeah.
Denny, can you hear me this time?
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank God. All right. What do you think about showing them the current market competition and say, where would you like to strategically price so that you're selling your home and not the competition?
Well, if the competition is a great question, I know that 72 sold one, they like to look at actives. However, if the actives are overpriced as well, and they justify the 850, that's not going to help you.
Well, what about showing those that are under agreement or contingent?
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, if the data points support the direction, say, hey, here, since we've sold, there's a new listing here similar to yours, and they're at 790, blah, blah, blah. Based on that, it'd be perfect, Mindy. Yes. Go to the data points and show them and say, based on what you see here, where would you position it? So absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody taking notes today. As far as Orlando, you got the people who were participating? Okay.
Yes, yes.
How many people, including Mindy? She
Yeah,
tried to.
I just added her. So we got one, two, three, four, five, 6 participants today, Denny.
6 participants. You got to be on to win. And let me just see here. All right. So Mindy, can you unmute yourself a second?
Yes.
Give me 3 numbers between 1 and 6.
5, 3, 1.
All right. I'm taking the third one. Number 1. Who's number 1, Orlando?
Michelle, no, it was Brian Hood. I'm sorry, Brian Hood.
Brian, are you still here?
I am. I'm hiding up here in the corner, Denny.
All right, Brian, you want a free 30-minute call with me?
Thank you, sir.
You give me a ride in your boat, and we'll have a conversation.
We'll have to use Mike's boat.
So here's the deal. Text me 239-851-4600 or Coach Denny Grimes at Gmail, and we'll set something up next week to do a 30-minute call.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Anybody have an aha? Michelle, are you glad you're back?
I am. Yeah, it's definitely a learning experience. I'm looking forward to mastering the 3, not the 3 outcomes, the acknowledge, isolate, clarify, and ask questions, close. So looking forward to honing these skills again, getting better. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Denny.
Kevin. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being on. Thanks for participating. You guys have a great weekend. If I can add any value to you in your life, reach out to me. I'm glad to do it.
Thank you, Denny. Appreciate
Have
it.
a great weekend, everybody.
Great people going on.
Bye.
You do it every day, Denny. Thank you. Add value.